Check the mic. 1 2 1 2. Here we are back again. I'm the Zim. This is the Zim video. This is the Art Professors podcast, final episode of season 2. We made it a whole year of teaching at Rochester Institute of Technology. This is it. I'll talk more about what the plan is for the summer in terms of the podcast later in the podcast. But let's get into it today. Again, I'm an art professor. I teach at Rochester Institute of Technology. I'll be back next year. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. I'm from Seattle, Washington. I went to the University of Washington for my undergrad, did fiber arts. Took a long gap because I was focused on music, trying to be a rock star. Never worked out, but ended up going to San Diego because, of a divorce and family and all this stuff. So we all ended up in San Diego. And at that time I decided, let me go to grad school. So I went to grad school for visual art again. And this time it was I was in the graphic design department, ironically, in some ways, I guess you could say. I don't know. It's a good thing. We talk a lot about it on the podcast. But but I was very interdisciplinary. My mindset was interdisciplinary. I was guided by the graphic design faculty. And luckily they were very fine art oriented as well. So so then that led me to teaching at San Diego State for a year after I graduated. They asked me to teach for them right away. I only taught 3 classes total for the year. 2 classes the first semester, 1 class the second semester. And then the following year I went to Northwest Missouri State University. I ended up getting a job last minute, 2 weeks before school started, or 3 weeks, or it was really close to the beginning of the school year, or maybe not that close, maybe a month. But anyways, you can go. That was season 1. I didn't call it season 1 at the time, but it was season 1 of the podcast. You can go back, find out what that journey was like, skim through some of the episodes, and then the following year, I decided I didn't want to go back there. It wasn't the right place for me. It's too small of a school and city and area, and I kind of I'm already doing what I don't want to do, which is I need easy access to things. Otherwise, I won't do anything other than sit right here in the studio space, which is both a positive and negative that we'll talk about as the days go on. But luckily, there's a little more easy access. I can walk down and get some food. There's 7-Eleven across the street. Still not ideal. But anyways, I applied to new schools, and I was crossing my fingers, praying every night that I would get something. I ended up getting 2 callbacks last year for 1-year positions. RIT called me back, interviewed me, crushed it, obviously. I'm here now. But then there was another small school in Pennsylvania that called me back that I was like, I already got RIT, so thanks, but no thanks. And then this year, I applied to, I'm ready to find a full-time home. I'm ready to find a full-time home. And so I applied to full-time, long-term positions, about 5 or 6 of them. Didn't get any of them. Nobody called me back for a positive. So I just decided, so I was like, whatever. And then, so I was told RIT, early in the year, I told RIT that I would come back this year again, mainly because my car got stolen. And I was like, I need more time to figure stuff out. So it would be nice just to be in one spot for another year. So at this point, they said yes. They said, okay, you can come back for another year. And we'll be back. So at this point, all I've gotten is a letter confirming my position. Haven't got the contract yet. We'll talk more about that as we go on in the podcast today, but I wanted to get something out of the way right off the top, what I named the podcast today, which is teacher evaluations. A reminder though as well, I'm mainly YouTube. I'm also on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, whatever, all the other podcast places. It's out there. I don't know, I don't get a lot of interactions with the podcast, but appreciate those of you that do listen. It's very much a documentation for myself. So I would love for the podcast to generate hundreds of people, which we'll talk more about later actually in this podcast, what the plan is for the summer. But But I don't, at the same time, I just do it because I love the documentation. I love the idea of it. I love having it as another piece of artwork. I do consider this podcast a piece of artwork, social practice, performative, community building, whatever it might be. So I love the fact that it's another piece of artwork that I do every week. Pretty much, mostly every week. And then, so find it everywhere. But I kind of lost my train of thought, so let's get into it. Today, normally starts with, this is the last one of this year. Next week will be completely different. But it would go talk about my art, talk about my practice as an educator, talk about my practice as an artist, and then talk about my life, which very much intertwines because I see myself as a 24/7, 365 artist. So here we go. First thing on the list was teacher evaluations. I have them right here. I've peeked at them. Last semester I really didn't read them because they mess you up. I tell you what, they mess. But what I was thinking about, I want to read these. I'm going to go over these with you. Maybe I'll put certain things on the screen as well. But I haven't really looked at these yet. I looked at them a little closer this morning, but just the top page. So I'm going to go in the order of the classes I taught, which it was Tuesday, Thursday, 11, 2, and 5 p. 11 a.m., 2 p.m., 5 p.m. were when the classes start. First class was Digital Illustration 1, which was focused on Illustrate, like Adobe Illustrator, Vector, and then a little bit of Photoshop at the end. Digital Illustration 2 was focused on raster programs, Photoshop, and then I made all the students use Photoshop for their first program, and then for the first project, and then I said you can open it up to whatever you want. We only had this particular. Okay, I'm disclaiming already. This particular semester, because I know some of the comments I've read already. This particular semester, I only made them do 2 projects, which was a little light, but we had this thing called Presto, which interrupted the beginning part of the semester and just kind of threw off the schedule for me. So it made it, I was like, how do I fit the rest of it in? And the complaint I got last semester was too much work. So I was like, okay, do I cram the 3 projects in less time? Or do I stretch out, do I remove one and make 2 projects, kind of tweak them, make them bigger projects, which I thought was awesome. But anyways, I'm disclaiming again. I'm going to try, that's the point. I want to try not to do any disclaimers about buts or whatever, depending on the feedback I get. I just want to say it. I'm not going to respond to, or I don't know. I can't figure out because I don't want to make it sound like one of my biggest things I want to work on, in a sense, is not being defensive. And I've, back in grad school, one of my grad school professors said, you get very defensive. And I never thought I got defensive, honestly, but I guess I did, according to an external source. And so it really made me check how I responded to things, and the way I reacted to that was just not talk as much. I was like, okay, I'll just let whatever feedback happens exist. And if they want a reply specifically or something, I'll give it to them, but try not to have a response for every single thing, which can get interpreted as defensive. I think is what happened. Is like I'd always have a reason sort of for everything and a response to everything, but I also want to be open to criticism. I want to be open to new ideas. So, maybe my own response to everything is preventing new ideas, but I don't know. So anyways, we'll just go through these. What I decided to do was take the percentage points, essentially, that pertain to this conversation and share them on the screen. The feedback I'm just going to talk to you about, but on the bottom of the screen, you'll see the kind of the question and then the percentage point that I got based on the amount of students. So I'm recording this after the fact, but that's what I decided to do, to share information with you. You won't see everything. You'll just see that part. You won't see demographics of the students. You won't see a lot of different things, but this is what you will see. Digital Illustration 1. The way this works, maybe I will put it on the screen. 12 possible students, and I think it says 6 here. I think that's how many students responded out of the 12 possible. We lost 2. I think one student withdrew early, or I don't remember. 13, maybe just one. One student withdrew during the semester because of just life reasons mainly. And then, but anyways, let's go down this. So the first two question text. Students regularly attended class. I don't know how they determine that, but I guess they just answer for themselves. Yes, I guess. 100% yes. CAD required course, which is College of Art and Design. Required course. These students, how many of them in this class were required to take it? There was only a couple. Some of them weren't. It was an elective for a lot this semester. So yes, 70%, no, 83%. CAD commitment to take course. I'm not sure. I think we can skip that one. Instructor enhanced interest in subject. Here we go. First one. So I think I don't know what these first like points are. There's like 83%. I'm not sure what that means. But, and then the average 4.2, 4.6, 4 or 4.1, 4.0, illustration average, college average. So something about I guess it's the average of, I don't know. I don't know what this means. I don't know how to interpret that one. So you're going to have to tell me. Somebody will probably tell me. But I guess this is the part that matters, is like, do the students agree? Instructor. So I'm going to jump for the next ones. I'm not going to worry about those first numbers. I'm going to jump across to the students agree or disagree. So instructions enhance interest in subject. 17% disagreed. 0% were neutral. 50% agreed, and 33% strongly agreed. So there you go. Materials presented in organized manner. 3% agreed. 76% strongly agreed. Instructor communicated material clearly. 17% were neutral, 50% agreed, 33% strongly agreed. Positive learning environment, 30% agree, 67% strongly agree. Helpful feedback provided, 17% agree, neutral, 33% agree, 50% strongly agreed, out of 6 of 12, so half the class. Instructor supported students' progress, 50% agree, 50% strongly agree. Instructor was effective, 67% agree, 30% strongly agree. Student race, gender, we're not going to worry about that. Okay, this is where the good stuff is in the comments. So let's see. Question. Things instructor did well. Created a positive learning environment for us, and this is where I might get anxious when I read some of these. Had a commitment in creating bonds with each of the students. Be clear and supportive. Okay. Did well. Be clear and supportive. Good at providing feedback about projects and very understanding in terms of late work due to illness, extenuating circumstances. Maybe be more clear conveying what we have to do or what he wants us to do in assignments. Interesting. Okay, again, not going to disclaim anything, not going to respond, just going to take it. He was excellent at establishing an atmosphere and clearly showed a lot of care for the craft. It was exactly what I hoped to get out of the class. Okay, great. Ways the instructor can improve. None. One person said none. Making the tutorial videos you made for presentation groups available to the class after group presentations would be helpful, since otherwise there is no way to go over the demo again. They were all available to students. Anyways, in the assignments. Okay, try not to do that. Don't do that. Okay, I noticed many of the classmates neglecting to engage or turn things in on time, and while I fully agree with the approach to sport and not punishments for sake of finding something to comment on improvement, I might have liked to see if they responded to just a little more enforcement. Okay, it's an interesting, God, it's hard. I'm gonna do it. I gotta respond to some of these. So this has come up before, and one of the things is I've noticed students don't know what they don't know. You know, the assumption that I'm not working with a student outside of the view of that person is what this statement is created by. So they only see what they see in the class, and it's none of their business, essentially, to know how I'm interacting with a student outside of the view of the other students. So I don't like to publicly, berate, I guess, but that's not the right word. Like, there's another term for it. Like, I don't need to, like, I'm not trying to throw my students under the bus. If I notice my students need more support in some way, I do that individually. But anyways, I guess I will be responding. I can't not. Okay, next class. Digital 2, Section 1, 14 possible. Looks like 7 students responded. Okay, we're jumping down to instructor enhanced interest in subject. 14% neutral, 71% agree, 14% strongly agree. Material presented in organized manner. 71% agree, 29% strongly agree. Instructor communicated material clearly, 14% neutral, 70% agree, 14% strongly agree. Positive learning environment, 71% agree, 29% strongly agree. Helpful feedback provided, 43% neutral, 29% agree, 29% strongly agree. Instructor supported students' progress, 14% neutral, 57% agree, 29% strongly agree. Instructor was effective, 29% neutral, 43% agree, 29% strongly agree, no disagrees, strongly disagrees. Okay, jumping down. Question. CIAS, other information. Okay, I don't know. In class, we only had 2 main assignments, and I didn't feel fully satisfied with what I learned overall. The beginning of the course I felt promising, but later assignments didn't seem to connect with the lectures or the core goals of learning digital illustration. I was expecting more focus on building technical skills, like working with layers, brushes, composition, as well as more guidance on how to use digital tools to create published expressive artwork. I would have liked more assignments with that gradually increase in difficulty to help challenge and push my creative development. I had Zim last semester for okay, so that was that one. Okay, I'm gonna respond. I gotta respond. As you know, those of you that have listened to my podcast, this is exactly what I don't teach. So I don't teach techniques, or at least I don't specifically try to, which may be a problem. I don't know. I want to make artists, and what you have to do, I try to teach students how to learn on their own. So if you want to work with layers, brushes, and composition, then you just go to Google and go like working with layers, working with brushes, and you find every tutorial out there about how to do that. So this is where I get a little frustrated, because it's like this is exactly the lack of willingness to teach yourself. So I want to be in the space. I want to create a space of artists, of people engaged with wanting to take knowledge. And if there was something, and I say at the beginning of the class, if there's something specific you want to learn, you have to bring it up. So I don't know. It's fine. It is what it is. But it's an interesting thing, because that statement is exactly the student that I'm not built for, and that's fine. That's fine. I had Zim last semester for Digital 1. I wanted to take Digital 2 with him. He's very easy and fun to talk to. However, I felt like we should have had more projects. That didn't really make sense to me how our final was drawing digital and then making it out of the box and making something physical. I feel like there should have been an emphasis more on digital platforms rather than 3D components. I get it, totally get it, because the optics of the idea is digital illustration, right? But for me, I'm trying to teach them to think outside of it. So many artists are going to be working digitally, but we have AI and machine learning. So the whole point of my class is think outside of that framework. Use the tools, but think outside of the frameworks. But, it is what it is. Friendly environment, and I like some of the prompts we were given, but I don't feel like I came out having learned much. I would have liked to have learned more about color proofing printing. Okay, well, okay. I would too. That was great. That's a good one. I like that one. I'll put that in, because next semester I am planning to do more, make them print more. So let's do that. I also really would have liked more harsh critiques, even if they got nitpicky. Interesting. I don't know. That's an interesting one. I just I don't know what to do about that. Harsh critiques, honestly. Okay, things the instructor did well. Due to my physical and mental health, I wasn't able to attend every class section, but I really enjoyed the course because I learned so much about topics and ideas that truly interest me. Through the professor's insights and presentations, I was exposed to many different artistic perspectives and valuable qualities that artists need. I think Zim is an excellent instructor. His classes are always well structured, and he patiently offers guidance to every stage of the process. I gained a lot of skills and confidence in his class, more than I've experienced in most of my past courses. Even though my situation was unique, he did his best to support me, reached out to check in, and gave me encouragement. He is truly a responsible and caring teacher. Thanks. He definitely did well in organizing the course and the schedule. We had 2 projects and one 15-minute-ish presentation. It was easy to navigate, and the deadline didn't just jump scare you, since they're all laid out for you in very organized fashion. Friendly, clear deadlines and schedules. Okay, what the instructor can improve. I feel like it's mostly the students that are providing feedback on my work. But yeah, interesting. No, this is something that I definitely think I could improve on for sure, because I want the class to critique each other. Like, it's more important for me that because then you learn through your peer. You learn more from your peers than you will from me. But I've also learned the value that my voice holds the most weight. So making sure I say something on everything, which I think I pretty much do, but oftentimes it's a repeat of what the other students might have already said. So maybe I just need to repeat it so they hear it from my voice versus the student's voice, and maybe that's something as well to remind the students at the beginning. It's like, even though I might not say it, doesn't mean it's less valuable. And I could just put that out there at the beginning. But yeah, that's something that I've been thinking about. I feel like if he were to teach this class again, he should consider rethinking the project and changing them to be more digital based. I learned a lot about Adobe Illustrator last semester. However, this semester I just felt like that is more a do whatever you want for the projects without learning much. It's interesting, because then it's, again, going back to that first statement, it's up to you to actually want to learn. So you got to do whatever you need to accomplish. I give a lot of space in this class, but I can see the argument for, I don't want it to be tutorial based. Tutorial based classes are boring and dumb. I want it to be art based. So if we're spending so much time on tutorials, we're not getting to actually go deep on why you're making the things. So it's a conundrum. I know I'm just not the right fit for every student. More harsh critique, more professor led tutorials. It was the last one. Harsh critique. Why do people want harsh critiques? I get it. I do get it. More harsh critiques. All right. All right. Last one. 14 possible. Section 2. Same one. 14 possible responses. Only 4 people actually responded. So out of the 4, instructor enhanced interest in subject. 50% agree. 50% strongly agree. Material presented in organized manner, 75% agree, 25% strongly agree. Instructor communicated material clearly, 25% neutral, 25% agree, 50% strongly agree. Positive learning environment, 25% agree, 75% strongly agree. Helpful feedback, 25% neutral, 25% agree, 50% strongly agree. So only 4 people, so it makes it easy to 1. Okay. Instructor supported students' progress, 25% agree, 75% strongly agree. Instructor was effective, 50% agree, 50% strongly agree. All right, jumping down to response, CIAS. Must be just an open-ended comment box. Very presentation heavy, but it will definitely help you to better yourself socially and to, presentation heavy. I require the students to present, yes. But it will definitely help you better yourself socially and to an extent improve your time management skills. Well, hopefully, that would be awesome. He was accommodating and helpful, helped me feel more comfortable in the class, and I greatly appreciate it. Class participation and project feedback. Things I did well. Class participation and project feedback, I guess. Helped us to monitor our progress and improve our social skills through presentations, created a comfortable environment for working and critiquing, and worked to keep the course from being too overwhelming. Made interesting assignments that allowed for creative liberty, and a calm and positive class environment. Ways the instructor can improve. Not sure. 1. No notes. I think he was great. Oh, thanks. Provide more constructive feedback during critiques and check-ins on assignments. Just give A's as if they're worth an A rather than B at the highest is confusing. Okay, I do get that. So I do this thing with I want to hold off the A, as I've told you about before, till I want to make sure there's class participation. It's so easy to get the inflation of the grade. It's like hard to give a project an A without the cumulative, like, did you participate in all the steps of the critique and everything? You know, were you an active participant in the assignment? So there's this, I only grade up to a B for your assignments, and then at the end of the semester, I give an A if you deserved it because you participated in class. This, you know, somebody will always be confused about my way of doing it. Maybe I'm working on my grading style. Every semester I change it, which I'll be changing again next semester. While I do believe that the presentations were helpful, I also feel as though the course may be a little too presentation heavy, and I feel just a few less presentations can make things a little less stressful for future students. I don't think I'm going to change the presentation part of it, because it's my way of making sure you're actively engaged with the work, you know, is to making sure you're doing the research properly, you know, doing all those things. But there it is. That was my feedback. I think that was okay, right? I hope that was okay to read all that. I don't know. It was all anonymous. Nobody's name was attached to anything. So that's the feedback I got. I feel okay. I don't feel most of it, like I processed most of it already. Like I read a couple of them just on passing, and I was like, and it allowed me to process, but seeing it kind of pulled back and going like, okay, what, you know, based on the fact that only half the class or less responded, you know, I just assume the other half, because usually this is my assumption with student feedback, right, is it's only the people that really agree or disagree that tend to fill them out. So all the ones that are just like, don't even fill them out. So I'm just going to take that as a positive, right? So half the class was like, it's good enough, you know, half the class, unless they're like, because there's also this, they also have like a student-run Discord channel for the School of Art and Illustration program, and they talk all kinds of smack about the professors in those, and so that's where the real feedback is, I guess. So whether or not people want to take my class. So again, I have to. This is my takeaway from student feedback to a potential future instructor or even a current one that's, you know, still trying to navigate this idea of student feedback in a way. You know, figure out what's your North Star, right? What's important to you, and stand by it and be able to defend your point of view. It's the same thing I said a couple weeks ago. You know, be able to defend your point of view and have a reason you do it, with hopefully being open to possibilities. But, you know, the couple, like I said, like I did kind of disclaim, it's like, I don't want my class to be a tutorial-based class, period. If you want a tutorial-based class, to go somewhere else. You're in college now. You have the internet, you have YouTube. If you want to find out how to use everything about the Adobe Creative Cloud, it's all there for you. You do not need to spend a class to do it. Let's spend the time in class elevating our thoughts, you know, doing something different. And then the other one is the two that stood out to me now that I'm thinking about it are the two of that are the idea of more tutorials, which I think I got two people that feedbacks on. So I think for me, it's just reiterating at the beginning of the class going, this is not a tutorials based class. We'll do some of it. Maybe I'll throw one or two more in somewhere, and I'll be learning more as well on my own. But it's not based on tutorials. It's based on let's make cool shit. And what do you need to do to make cool shit? It means you need to go to the internet. You need to find the artists that you are inspired by. You need to, you know, research them. You need to do your work. You can't just sit and expect everything to come to you. Like, you can't expect me to go, okay, here's how to do this. Here's how to do this. No, it's like, I want you to make something cool. So you go find out how to make it. Come back to class and make it. You know, Digital Illustration 1 is where I teach them how to do the tutorials and see that process. And then Digital Illustration 2 is where I go, okay, you've learned the ability to take in a tutorial. Now it's your turn to go find your own tutorials and learn it. So that's the way I structure my two classes. So it's best, obviously, for students that take both of them. And then I disclaimed as well, the fact that this particular semester kind of, with that beginning of the year thing, kind of made it a little bit different for me. And then the other one, presentations that stood out. I'm not going to stop that. That's like, you need to be able to talk about your work. You need to be able to, the whole point, to me, one of the main reasons you go to art school is to learn the language of your tribe. Your tribe is artists. So you need to speak like an artist. And so I want you practicing that speaking ability. If you're too shy to do it, or if you just hate presentations, then you got to get over that. You got to get over it. Those are the two things that stood out. Was there anything else that stood out? Oh, the out of the box one. And so my last project is an out of the box. I have them make a digital illustration, and then we turn it into a 3-dimensional sort of form. We pop it out and make it like a tunnel book, like you've probably seen before. I don't have any close by. Yeah, I do have a tunnel right here. So, I don't know, whatever one's on top here. So pretend this is an illustration that the students made, and then they pop it out. So potential digital crafting, and then you can make it into a form, which I think is super important, that they're thinking outside of the digital space as much as possible. So you're still working digitally to make it. You just got to take it outside of the space. So unless somebody else in the program says you can't do that anymore, I'm gonna like a boss. I'm gonna be like, that's what we're doing. I want them to be artists. So that this part of it, you could tell just by the way that they write, the ones that want to be artists and the ones that just want to be kind of told what to do, and just want to, like, the illustration world is like narrower of a, there's I don't know, I'm sure my other professors will argue, like, wouldn't like my take, but my take based on my experience, so this kind of goes into something I was going to bring up later, was like, what did I learn this year being in the illustration area for a full year, and that's never really been part of my life. It's a lot narrower of a can't think of the right word, like process, not process isn't the right word, narrower of a kind of exploration, because you want your stories to be very clear. Illustration is about storytelling, really. A fundamental aspect of it is storytelling. So, and you want to tell, it's like very connected to graphic design, which is like message. So for me, graphic design is message making. Illustration is story making, right? Messages and stories. It's different but similar but different, right? So messaging, branding, those kind of things, ideas like that. But illustration is like, this little girl walked through the forest and met 3 little pigs or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like the story of it, right? It's not always, eventually you get to a message, but you're trying to convey, like, what is this action of the scene, and so you want to be as clear as possible, because you're trying to share this story with as many people. So you have to use ways of telling stories that are very universally accepted. The moment you start to tell stories in a way that's not universally accepted, you're starting to slide into fine art, because you're starting to interpret ideas. And so you're staying outside of that fine art lane, and you're in the storytelling lane, you're in the illustration lane. Sure, you can use all the colors, you can use there's a lot of techniques, there's a lot of visual things you can add, but you got to make it clear to the audience. You can't make it ambiguous. So because of that lack of ambiguity, it narrows, like, what's possible with the critique, what's possible with a lot of things. You're always navigating toward this very specific goal of telling the story. And so that's what I learned kind of about my process as an illustration instructor this year. And I don't feel fulfilled just telling that. I don't feel fulfilled as an art professor with that limitation. I want to be in the fine art space. a more than a specific illustrative space. And I would love, one of my proposals is to teach illustration as fine art, because also illustration not only typically has, is telling the story, but it typically has a style that fits with it, whether it be comic, manga, anime, line art, cell shading. There are just very specific techniques and styles that say illustration before you say anything else, and then there are some artists that over the generations that blur the lines or the evolution of art. Like there was a time, looking back at Norman Rockwell, right? If you just look at some of his drawings, they're amazing. Like watercolor or whatever he might have been using, I don't know specific, but definitely wasn't digital, right? It was all traditional based. And so there's elements, you could look at parts of them and go like, that's fine art, but he's doing it in an illustrative context. But as time has evolved, that line of that blurry line between fine art and illustration has gotten less blurry. It's gotten a lot more clear because of just the tools. More digital art, more illustrators are working digital right out the gate. They're not working traditionally. So just in the mark making style and the traditional techniques that would suggest a fine art philosophy aren't present. Obviously it's nuanced and layered, right? And that's why we're artists, because we look at those nuances and layers. We don't just, there's no one single answer to the whole thing. All right. Graduation. I didn't take any photos of the graduation, but it's in the box and it's under a bunch of stuff. One of the coolest, so I wish I took a photo because I really enjoyed, I'm never going to miss another graduation ceremony from here on out, because I love the idea, especially not being in the city, in the same school that I graduated from. All the professors wear their hoods, their master's or doctorate hoods or whatever, and their hoods represent, there's this little detached, I'll grab it. When you graduate with your master's degree, you get this thing, they call it the hood. It's a hood. It's like a wizard hood, right? But it looks weird. You wear it like this, or it must be, you wear it like this. You wear it like this. This brown part covers here, and then on the back, there's these hooks, and you roll it back, and it shows the color. So you have this button, and it holds it open like this, and it shows the colors of the institution that you graduated from. And so all the professors have a bunch of different colors, and it's just really cool to this one's not like the rest. Ironically, there's a lot of professors that teach at RIT that went there and graduated from there, and I'm like, I don't know if that's a value as much as it, it is what it is. You got to live your life and whatever you got to do. But it was really cool. I just really enjoyed it. I was anxious because my pelvic floor issues and worried about having to go to the bathroom. But, again, one of those little synchronistic things that eased my mind. For whatever reason, the faculty for the art school, the art school of art, and the American Crafts, we sat in the first 2 rows, and then the stage was right there. And the fact that I was not stuck inside of other people really helped me. I was like, right when I noticed, I was like, oh, thank God I'm not trapped, so that I was able to sit the whole 2 hours without a problem. And then we got up, we sat there for a while. They did a bunch of talking, stuff. Then we got up as faculty and lined up where all the students would come across. There was only 3 students I even recognized, because being my first year, there was 4. There's in the art school itself, there's 3, and then I had 3 seniors from the animation program and interior design. So I had 6 maybe people there that I was cheering on in a way because I knew them personally from my classes. But anyways, so that was the graduation. Really awesome. I'm not gonna do. Okay, so we're gonna skip that. Next week, the first week of my summer one, we'll do the recap of last year. Since we're already like 40 minutes into this, what we'll go into now is first week out of school. So my first week out of this is my summer break. Pretty amazing week, honestly. So I'm starting my new schedule, which is Monday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. What I'm doing is just coming to my studio space and turning on my camera and just opening up my studio to the internet. Whatever I need to do and accomplish, whether it be the artwork that I'm working, I already started putting up paper on the back wall, whether it be something digital I need to work on, whether it be an overlay I'm doing, whether it be something like that, that's what I'll work on. It'll just be whatever from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. I'll leave the camera on. Actually, I've turned it off. I turned it off around 2 each day because I just was done with stuff. So I'll just start at 11 and go till potentially 3. But those 2 days specifically that I did that, I felt so fulfilled. Like, my body, I felt so good. I felt so good that I was like productive. I felt productive. I'd organized. I packed up my old artwork that had been sitting around for a while. Like, I'm getting organized for the summer, also for potentially moving. But, I just had a stack of like this tall of drawings, and now they're all boxed up. I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 boxes of different drawings that I've done. And then I have another box, 7, 8, basically 8 boxes of drawings that I've done, all neatly organized sort of and ready to go for whatever potential thing that they'll go to. So that felt really good. So that's what I did that a couple days. And then Monday I went to the mouth doctor because I'm getting a night guard. They did that for me. Next week I'll pick that up. And then the evenings I've been game streaming, and that's been going okay. So that kind of leads me into summer plans. What I'm gonna do, so I'm gonna shift. The summer is gonna be a documentation of my YouTube channel. It's kind of what it's gonna be about. What's happening on the YouTube channel. So right now, and we'll start today, right now on YouTube, we have 8,772 subscribers. We have 61 channel members, which I'm really trying to push. So if you haven't become a channel member yet, consider doing it. It's 99 cents. We'll try to find more ways to involve other people, but since most of my audience is game streaming right now, the game streamings have member exclusive shows. So 61 channel members, like a little less than half maybe or more, about half of those are donated, so they'll go away. So we want to keep the memberships going. My goal is to get 1,000 members by the end, as soon as possible. I don't have like a goal. By the end of the summer, 1,000 members by the end of the summer. Can we do it? I don't know. That would change my life. If I had 1,000 channel members every month, that would change my life. That would make everything possible. So let's do that. and then I'm gonna start talking about how much I'm making on YouTube, like what my estimated revenue is. And right now, my estimated revenue for the month of May is $210. So we'll see if it keeps going up, and hopefully that'll be a value to people. Like, more people will be interested in knowing what a channel like mine is able to generate, and like and then we could break down where that money comes from. If people want to know, I'll leave it up to the audience to ask those questions. But so that's what the summer show is going to be, sort of start off with. Every week we'll check in on where our sub count is, how many members we have, how much revenue possibly we're generating, and what's going on there. So that's the plan there. I think that covers. I mean, it's like we're 45 minutes into this. The last thing I'll say for today is rolling into life stuff. You can see my bike back here. I got a bike trainer, so I can now ride my bike inside. I never have to leave I could stay here. Just kidding. But I just got a bike trainer, $113 after tax and shipping and whatever. So I plan to get on that like for a half hour to an hour every day. Keep that up since I won't have the reason. I'll go for walks. Like yesterday I went for a walk, a 40-minute walk. And so I'll go outside every Sunday. I'm planning to go to Park Avenue, at least, at minimum, Park Avenue, and go to a different restaurant just to get out in the world every Sunday. So, I don't know. If there's anything else you want to know from me, let me know. I think we did pretty good today. Thanks for joining. As always, be loving, kind, and patient. Consider becoming a channel member. So help that goal. It's only 99 cents a month. And that's what's going on. All right, friends. Especially if you listen to this all the way, if you are getting the message about becoming a channel member and you've listened to this you're here right now, 45 minutes into this, why not? It's obviously providing you value. 99 cents a month. Come on. The way that I see it, it's really hard for me whenever somebody on the channel says something like I can't afford it. I know 100% of people waste way more than 99 cents every month. I know, even people the only thing, a lot of my audience is too young to have their own ability to like, they don't have credit cards or whatever they're called, like debit cards. So that's a thing. But everybody that does have one, whenever they say I can't afford it, it's like I equate it with that idea of when you're dating, when you're attracted to somebody and they say they're on a break or it's not that they're on a break, it's that you're not the one for them. It's that when the one for them shows up, everything will change for them. So I'm clearly not the one for some people that don't want to spend 99 cents a month, but if you do enjoy the content and you want to support it, I think it's like I said, most people wouldn't even know that they're spending. Like, 99 cents for you could change my life. 99 cents, that little amount for you can change my life. Anyways, thanks a lot for joining. As always, be loving, kind, and patient. We'll catch up with you again next week for the beginning of the summer edition of the podcast. Peace, my friends.